The battle for the MLS Cup rages on. Drama and intensity from many a club as the battlefield narrows down. Several teams stay alive while many others go home empty-handed. As the elimination counter grows, it's important to remember those that didn't make it to the promised land. Those teams that started the campaign with hopes and dreams of postseason play but are the first to wither and die before the bracket even began. In lieu of flowers, we send our laughter to their graves. And you flamed out the very next day. What can I say? Them's the breaks in MLS. Sometimes you carry the momentum and sometimes you completely drop it. Sebastian Driussi tried his best to carry the team above the playoff line with the occasional goal from Gallagher and Zardes, but it was not enough. Oh, but it's not all doom and gloom, Austin fans. I do bring good news on this day. Josh Wolf is staying put for 2024. That's right, everyone. The bane of your existence is not going anywhere. Ha fucking ha! Hey, I never said this was good news for you. What could have been? That's the question Chicago is asking themselves. What could have been if Shaqiri didn't stumble in year 2? What could have been if more players picked up the slack? What could have been if proper investments were made to the squad? What could have been if Urza Hendrickson didn't shit the bed? You know, it says a lot when a retread and Frank Klopas coaches the team a whole lot better than he ever did. Funny thing, though, is that even with the shortcomings, the Fire still had a chance to make the postseason. Montreal lost on decision day, putting them out of the running. All they had to do was win at Citi Field, and they are in. Or they can just let NYCFC put them away easily for both of their trips home. Truth be told, this might have been a blessing in disguise. They would have gotten hammered in the playoffs, but they make it in and convince ownership all is well. Now is the time to properly invest in the team. Better players, better coaches, better everything. You saw what you almost did with your hands tied. Who knows what you can do with the gloves come off? But hey, a man can dream, can't he? I feel for you Rapids fans. I honestly do. I would say I fully understand the situation you're going through, but as a Dynamo fan, we haven't seen ownership negligence this bad. Their top players were Cole Bassett and Connor Ronan. That's it. Robin Fraser has been thrown under the bus to cover ownership's ass. In comes Chris Armas to clean up the mess. Speaking of ownership, I would say things would get better for you, but you're still owned by Stan Kroenke. Technically speaking. I say technically because he barely gives a shit about you guys. He's too busy raking in fuck tons of money from his other franchises winning trophies, and any focus on soccer is him bitching at FIFA over renovations for his new playset in LA being used for the World Cup. Imagine bidding to bring the sports top tournament to your stadium, yet leaving out the most essential part of the game itself. You can't have your cake and eat it too, Kroenke. At least you're not the wooden spoon winner. That's something, at least. There's not much to review for DC. This was just an average team. Christian Benke tried his best to will the team to postseason play, but they were one of the unfortunate victims of an extremely carnivorous Eastern Conference. Wayne Rooney saw the writing on the wall and booked the first flight back to England once he got the chance. DC is now in a crossroads. They're not good enough to compete in the East, but they're not bad enough to tank, even if it is pointless in MLS. Are they in purgatory? That's worse than hell. This is what happens when you extend a canister that should have been fired a long time ago. Chris Klein really thought he was untouchable, even bragging how confident the Galaxy would make the playoffs to the point that he put his job on the line. Unfortunately, Phil Anschutz saw the smarmy attitude from Klein and fired him on the spot. He looked around, and he found out. At least Tyler Boyd and Douglas Costa looked promising, and Chicharito looked good.
Unit lost.
Oh, wait, he tore his ACL in the Open Cup. So much for that Cinderella story. Greg Vanney stays for now, but the seat's starting to warm up. They gotta fix the mess and fix it fast. They may have more titles in all of MLS, but they won't use that excuse forever. In the words of someone from my generation, get good, bruh. It was quite the roller coaster from Miami, wasn't it? Earlier in the year, they put up the most putrid season for any sports franchise ever. Win your first 2, then lose the next 6 games. Steal a win here and there, then going winless during long stretches of time. Phil Neville was labeled a heretic for his losing streak and was exiled for his crimes. Little did they know, they made a complete 180 with the arrival of a certain GOAT, Lionel Andres Messi. And he wasn't coming alone. Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets reunite with their former Barcelona captain, replacing Neville as Tata Martino coming in from the Mexican national team. The influence was almost instantaneous, winning the League's Cup tournament and second place in the US Open Cup. They're in a deep hole off the gate though, but if you gain enough points, you have a shot to sneak in. Oh shit, Messi got muscle spasms? He's got to ride the bench? Well, so much for that dream. The collapse occurs in time. Maybe it's a good thing they didn't make it in. Can you imagine an exhausted Inter Miami getting crushed in the wildcard round? That would lose the league more money than they lost already without them in. Short-term pain for long-term success. Ouch. That's all I can say. It started painful enough when Emmanuel Reynoso suddenly disappeared off the face of the earth. But it's fine, he had family issues, so welcome back, buddy. You still need to be suspended for not calling in, though. At least Timu Puki tried to fight when everyone else froze in the Minneapolis cold. This all results in longtime coach Adrian Heath getting his pink slip. What a shame. I don't think he did a terrible job, but he also didn't do a great job either. He was just pedestrian. Sad part is he was one of the better coaches Minneapolis sports has ever had. Very telling. You're telling me that Hernan Losada was a complete downgrade from Wilfred Nancy and the team followed as such? No, you don't say. Who could have seen this coming? Aside from literally everyone who could read this like an open book. Matthew Chouanier was the only player worth of relevance in your club. Everyone else is nameless faces. This is also what you get for skimping out on player investment. You know MLS clubs get 3 DPs, right? So why the fuck are you only paying for 1 designated player? Was Victor Wanyama really worth your only splurge because it sure as hell doesn't look that way? Even so, they still had a shot at the playoffs on paper. But a mediocre team could only go so far. Eliminated on decision day. To the Crew. In Columbus. Led by your former coach. The jokes just write themselves. Tu es pathétique. Putain de pathétique. Oh, so now you realize that Hernan Losada was a terrible coach. Only until you have to fire him do you realize that mistake. It's a bit too late for that now, Montreal. Like I said, you may have gotten rid of the impact, but this was an even greater negative impact that you could have ever foreseen. Unfortunately for Montreal fans, Joey Saputo is going to find a way to fuck this up even worse. As long as you have him as owner, you're doomed. Fuck off. From MLS Cup glory to soccer purgatory in 2 years' time is a heartbreaking thing to see. What happened, NYCFC? When I said ownership had enough in the season's haters guide, I was joking. Who knew you actually were at the end of your rope? You know it's bad when your only designated player only has 1 assist for the year. Just 1! At least Santiago Rodriguez gives you hope, but it's only going to be a matter of time before other clubs within the league or beyond line up to pitch their services to him. Even still, they had a shot at the playoffs. But even with a win on decision day, the Blues ended up drawing the short end of the stick. Both Charlotte and the fucking Red Bulls knocked NYCFC out. Nick Cushing stays put for now, but something tells me his ass is searing hot in that seat of his. Even still, it could be worse for you guys. At least you're not your baseball landlords.
We got to play better. Period. And the great thing is, it's right in front of us. It's right here, and we can fix it.
Just like Miami, it's quite the roller coaster for Portland fans. Some weeks you gave them hopes and dreams of postseason play. Other weeks you crushed them to dust. Winning 2 of your first 9 matches to a decent, then frustrating summer, to getting a 5-0 dick slapping after the League's Cup break. This result ended up getting Gio Savarese served as walking papers. It may have been to a resurgent Houston team, but you still lost to Houston. That's unforgivable in this day and age of MLS. Miles Joseph was left to take over for the year, and why the hell are you playing convincing soccer? It's pedestrian as hell, but it's still an improvement than it was under Savarese. It got them just enough points to be at striking distance to the playoffs. And look at the scenario. All they have to do is win over Houston, and they're in. Despite their continued revival, the Dynamo are still absolute dog shit on the road. And this is the team that embarrassed you, setting off this huge wave of momentum. Revenge is almost yours. And you let the Dynamo dick slap you again. Kind of poetic in a way. The same team that kickstarted your positive momentum is the same team that ends it. At least next year you'll be having improvement led under Bill Neville? What the fuck is wrong with you? Toronto, did you try to be like big market baseball teams and spend the most money in the transfer window for an all-in push? Bad news to tell ya, you failed it. Big time. It seems like Toronto either doesn't know how to spend properly or just chuck money at anything that moves. Your top goal scorers were DeAndre Kerr and Federico Bernardeschi at 5 goals each. 5 fucking goals each! This is clearly Bob Bradley's fault. That man took LAFC to the playoffs several times. He should have taken us there. You failed us, Bob. Get the fuck out! All this chaos speaks to the end of Michael Bradley's time as an active player. What a fitting way to end a frustrating career. Devoured by lions in Orlando. And thus, with pride, may I present to you your new wooden spoon winners, Toronto FC! It's your most prestigious title since your MLS Cup 8 years ago. Hang a banner in the rafters of BMO, why don't ya? Oh yeah, I almost forgot. You also hired a new coach. A true leader and the pride of Canada itself. John Herdman? The man who gained and bumbled the Canadian national team's momentum in their first World Cup in almost 40 years. This is gonna get ugly, isn't it? With